good.
Instructions are to be enthusiastic.
Hello, everyone. Congressman Criag is here. Let's get a big cheer. Yeah! Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Lynn Rankinen. I live in Eagan. I'm a leader with Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota. I am from Senate District 51 and Congressional District 2.
Good afternoon. I am Imam Asad Zaman. I am a leader with Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota. I am a resident of Inver Grove Heights in Senate District 52 and Congressional District 2. We are here today because we know that together we can build a Minnesota, a United States, where everyone can thrive and where all of us can belong. We are coming together across race, gender, faith, and geography because we all want the same things: clean air, clean water, and a stable, flourishing planet. We want full membership as citizens. We want time to care for our loved ones. And we demand the basics we need to thrive, like affordable childcare, health care, public college, housing, and sustainable transportation. As we live through these ongoing crises of the global pandemic and its economic fallout and persistent racial injustice and the total breakdown of our ecosystems, we now are at a crossroads. The wealthy few and the profiteering corporations want us to point the finger at each other during these crises, while they pick our pockets and plunder our earth. Meanwhile, some politicians are calling for a return to the status quo. They want us to get back to normal. Well, in the 2nd District, we know that normal was never good enough for our people. As farmers, as childcare providers, educators, parents, immigrants, indigenous folk, and 5th-generation Minnesotans, we know that when the wealthy few pay their fair share, we can fund our lives. We can transform our systems so they work for all of us.
Right now, Congress is deliberating on the biggest step toward that transformation that we've seen in our lifetime. President Biden's plan to build back better includes a $3.5 trillion reconciliation package for our communities. If passed, it would include 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave, a pathway to citizenship for over 5 million undocumented folks, making the child tax credit permanent, unprecedented climate action with an urgent clean energy standard, expanded Medicare, and hundreds of billions of dollars for childcare, housing, and sustainable transportation. It would transform this country, and it's what our families need. It's what we deserve. And Minnesota Congressional District 2 is ready to lead, to build it, to bring it across the finish line. So right now, we are going to hear from members of our community about the difference this $3.5 trillion package will make for them and the people they love. I'd like to introduce Abdulali with the Muslim Coalition of Faith in Minnesota.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Abdulali Aden.
I'm a leader with a multiple coalition in Faith in Minnesota. I'm a parent of 4 kids from 6 to 11. All my kids have attended the child care, and some still do. My kids have a structure and a support to do their homework while I'm at work. I'm also made lasting social connection. This year has been incredible hard for families. I had worked last 5 years at Amazon, but then I lost my job when the pandemic hit. It has been a hard time to cover our expenses and afford a child care. Even before this, with high cost of child care, I rely on child care assistant for my kids to get a quality care they need. Increasing funding and programs like child care assistant and grants to provide will help thousands of working families across our state access the care they need and make living wages they deserve. Now, more than ever, we need more funding in childcare, and we need to extend the childcare tax credit because it supports our families in need. We hope our election officials continue to lead boldly. Thank you.
Technical difficulties with masks. Hello, my name is Leota Goodney, and I am a semi-retired accountant practicing in Northfield. I'm also a closer to the mic. Okay. And I'm also a leader with Isaiah in Northfield. As a small business owner, I know how important child care, paid family leave is, and how important the health of our employees are. Small businesses need healthy employees and employees who are not worried about their families and their families' health. We try to do as much as we can to help our employees, both because it is the right thing to do and because we need them to be attentive and not under stress about childcare or sick family members. The pandemic has made clear to everyone that businesses, especially small businesses, need to be able to provide paid family leave.
That's right.
In my business, we have a woman who is an excellent worker, but she has children. Last winter, she had to take a month's leave because she could not find safe childcare for her toddler, and her teenager was having serious mental health issues. This situation would have been a lot easier for her and for our business if we had been able to pay her a 2/3 salary continuation through an insurance program, as is proposed by the federal budget, as well as guaranteeing her position on her return to work. She would have had needed money for her family's budget, and the business would have been more able to afford temporary replacement employees. Representative Lippert and his colleagues in the Minnesota House have passed such legislation in the past 2 legislative sessions, and we thank him for his continued leadership. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Senate Republicans have not followed suit, so we don't have that benefit available in Minnesota. We're delighted that the current federal budget proposed includes a family leave policy that guarantees up to 12 weeks of leave at a substantial percentage of wages for lower income workers and robust worker protections. We thank Representative Criag for her votes so far, and we need you to also be an ardent advocate for paid family leave and other family-friendly policies in the negotiations this fall.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Good afternoon.
Closer to the mic.
Closer. Good afternoon. My name is Imam Hassan. I am a faith leader in Azaya, Muslim Coalition of Azaya. Many of our community in City 2 area face challenges face challenges that are affecting their health, stability, environment. There are many stories to share about the experience our marginalized communities are going through here in our district, CD2. But today I wanted to focus on one important thing, which is housing. The past couple of years, many in our communities and my family itself had a hard time finding a home to live in because how expensive it is to rent. And not only that, but there are not a lot of homes in the market available to rent. In this budget, we need to invest more in housing because housing is a human right. And if we want, yes, it's a human right. We want to uphold our values as a country. We need to tackle this issue head on. We need to invest more in our public programs to create conditions where all children and families and citizens from different backgrounds can thrive in our district. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Elena Flores, and I'm a leader and member with Unidos Minnesota. I'm a constituent of CD2, and I'm also a DACA recipient. I came to the U.S. when I was 3 years old, and I have lived the majority of my life in Red Wing. DACA definitely opened a lot of doors for me and made getting jobs and going to college easier. But a lot of people did not qualify for DACA. For example, my brother, who was going to be a first-time DACA applicant and did not qualify due to the recent ruling on first-time applicants. We need an immigration reform that is inclusive. That's why it's important that immigration reform for that's why it's important that immigration reform for DACA recipients, TPS holders, essential workers, and agricultural workers be included in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. It is important that the $107 billion are allocated for new cards and no less. That number would legalize up to 5 to 7 million immigrants in the U.S. We must also continue to push for a broad and fair immigration reform that covers all 11 million undocumented immigrants. But this is a great step forward. So my ask for you, Congresswoman Angie Criag, is to support and be a champion for immigrants in the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
That's always fun.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Seifert, and I'm a fourth-generation family farmer from Jordan, Minnesota, in Congressional District 2. 4 years ago, we adopted soil health practices on our 100-acre farm. We'd seen degradation of our soils from intensive tillage and other conventional farming methods. We were tired of always fighting Mother Nature, and we knew we needed to make a change. With guidance from farmers already using soil health practices, and with technical and financial assistance from our local Soil and Water Conservation Office, we switched to mostly no-till with cover crops throughout the year and began diversifying our crop rotation. 4 years later, we are very happy with our new practices and no longer need financial assistance to carry on. Our soil is recovering, our crops are more resilient, and we are pulling carbon out of the atmosphere where it is a liability and putting it into our soils where it is an asset. Farmers manage a staggering array of risks. That is why policies like the Minnesota 100% Soil Healthy Farming Bill, which builds a framework to support farmers providing the ecosystem services of climate change mitigation and local food system resiliency, should be implemented at the federal level as part of the $3.5 trillion Build Back Better agenda. During the pandemic, demand for meat that is raised in ethical and ecologically responsible manner has skyrocketed, and there simply aren't enough local processors to keep up. We need policies like those supported by Representative Angie Criag that encourage startups of small local processors to meet demand, and the clean electricity standard championed by Senator Tina Smith to ensure they can run on clean energy. These policies are good for family farms, good for the environment, and good for the public.
Thank you to all the members of our community who are stepping up to lead for the things our families need to thrive. We would like to now hear from 3 of our elected officials who will share with us how they are leading in St. Paul and in Washington, D.C. to get us through these crises and to build a multiracial democracy, a caring economy, and a flourishing planet. First, we will hear from State Representative Todd Lippert, then from State Senator Lindsey and finally from Congresswoman Angie Criag. Without further ado, State Representative Todd Lippert.
Thank you, Hassan. It's so good to be with all of you. State Rep Todd Lippert. I represent the Northfield, Lonsdale, Montgomery area. So I've had this song in my head this week, and whenever I see people, it like has to come out. It's by Cornbread Harris, who's a Minneapolis music legend. He wrote it in 2020. He's 94 years old. But the first verse is short. It goes like this. Haven't we had enough debate? Did I hear someone say, just wait? Shouldn't we come together before it's too late and put the world back together? And put the world back together. Let's put the world back together again. Now, if we had time, we'd sing that for a long time, but we don't. But I think that's why we're here, right? Coming together across race, across faith tradition, across geography, because we know we feel a sense of call. I'm a person of faith. I feel this sense of call to put our world back together for all of us. And we have a transformational moment in front of us this fall with the passage of the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation package. We have this transformational moment and we can't miss it. Am I right?
Yes. Right.
We need bold solutions for climate. We need bold solutions for childcare. We need paid family and medical leave. We need bold solutions for affordable housing. And we have huge challenges in front of us. And what we sometimes forget is that we can't meet those huge challenges by nibbling around the edges. We need bold solutions that go to the heart of the problem. And this budget reconciliation package can get us there. Now, I'm clear on why I'm standing here and who I'm here for. And I know so many of you are as well. I have 3 children. I hope to have grandchildren someday. And I want us to give them a livable planet. It's a low bar, but it's what they deserve. I'm here for the college students who have spent their summer inside and outside of the jail cell protesting at line 3. And I've asked them, why have you spent your summer this way? And one college student looked me in the eye and said, because I want a future. We need to give it to them. I'm here because of a child care worker who said to me, what are you going to do for people like me? I have a son who wants to get his driver's license. He's ready for driver's ed, but I can't afford a car. I want to send him to college. But how can I do that when I can't afford what I need this week? I'm here for youth in Northfield. I sat down with them, and they talked about how they and their friends have been homeless at one time or another. We need affordable housing for our young people, for all of us. I'm here for a member of a congregation I serve, whose husband suddenly had early onset dementia, and she had to care for him and set up care for him around the clock. But she worked at the grocery store and didn't have paid leave. She couldn't take time to care for him. And so what she had to do was organize our congregation, organize the neighborhood, to make sure there was someone there for him during the day, and then she cared for him all night. And she was so exhausted, we were worried not just for his safety, we were worried for her safety as well. We can't accept this reality, this present, and we can come together to create the future that we need and fund it, and we can do it this fall.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now, I also want to say that Representative Criag, I'm here for you. We're here for you to say that as you lead boldly this fall, we will stand right there with you. We'll be right behind you because we know what we need in your district. And we're so glad that you're standing with us today. And I'm excited to introduce Senator Lindsey Port, a fantastic colleague in the Senate.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is so nice to be here with you. I spent my first term in the Senate in the minority, and we heard the word no a lot. We heard this isn't the time, this isn't the place, we need to just get back to normal. But normal isn't working. Normal is not enough. And this year the Capitol was closed for safety reasons because of COVID, but I'll tell you, we felt it. We felt what was missing this year. You were missing. And it was so clear in the politics in the Senate that it was about politicians. It was about big interests. It wasn't about the people of Minnesota. And so since the legislative session ended, I've been spending time in my community. And I'll tell you what I hear over and over and over is now is the time. Now is the time for affordable housing. It's the time for childcare that every family can afford. It is the time for health care, access to health care, for paid leave. It is time for livable wages. And you know who's leading that? It is not the people in St. Paul. It is you. It is our communities. And every time I go out, when I talk to our communities, I hear the word yes. I hear, I am ready. I am ready to stand up. I'm ready to fight for this. I know what my community needs because I'm connected to my community. And that story that Todd just told about that woman who organized her whole community to help care for her, that is what we're doing. We are doing it together. And it is time now that St. Paul and DC get behind what we already know our communities need. It's right here in front of us. We need a path to citizenship. We need to invest in our futures. We need to invest in our children, and we need to invest in a climate that we can hand on to future generations. The answers are right in front of us, and they are in you. And so I'm so pleased to be here with you to see the power that we have together. When politicians are left alone without the people, nothing good comes from that. I promise you, nothing good comes from that. But when we work together, that is when we have the power for real, bold, transformative change. And I am so excited to be a part of it in St. Paul, and I am so proud to be friends with our Congresswoman, who I've known for a few years now, and who is leading us in DC, who is leading a path to real transformative changes that our families can build on, that our communities can thrive on. And so thank you for coming today, thank you for being here, and please welcome our Congresswoman, Angie Criag.
Thank you so much, Senator Port. Isn't it great to call her Senator? And Representative Todd Lippert, you are doing just an absolutely fantastic job. Lynn, thank you for asking me to be here. I'm truly honored, and Assad, truly, truly honored to be here with you as well. So thank you, Faith in Minnesota, and thank you, Isaiah. I want to start, though, not by talking about the Build Back Better Act. I want to start with you today on January the 6th. I want to start on January the 6th from where I stood, because I was on the House floor when we started the proceedings that day. I was up in the chambers when the Vice President and the Speaker of the House were there. Make no mistake about it, the people who were trying to get into the Capitol, the insurrectionists, those who were trying to hurt and maim members of Congress and who are Capitol Police, fought off valiantly. They were there to overturn a United States election. They were there to overturn the will of the people. We cannot forget that. And so as I stand here today, thinking about my responsibility to you, I want to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for standing up for the 2nd Congressional District of Minnesota. And I can't talk about what we have to accomplish together unless I talk about the fact that we have a 3-seat majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. And if not for organizations like Faith in Minnesota and those around the country in those tough swing districts, we might not have the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives to do what needs to be done here this fall. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And before we talk about Build Back Better, we have to also recognize that there is still a threat to our democracy. We have to pass H.R. 1 in the Senate. We have to do it. We have to pass H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We have to do it. Last week, I got called back to Washington to start the process of budget reconciliation, which is a fancy way of saying to start the process of debating the Build Back Better Act. I got called back to Washington in that same trip, though, to vote for H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And I have to tell you, during my time in Congress, John Lewis was probably the most impactful individual that I met. As all of you know, if you know him or if you don't, that man just knows what it's like to be an ally. He just knows what it's right to stand up for what's right, no matter what is at stake. And with that in mind, I am incredibly proud of the United States Congress advancing the Build Back Better Act last week. And I want to just say to you that there are a few things, and you've already mentioned it. I believe that we are going to pass the most significant infrastructure bill, capital infrastructure, highways, roads, bridges, broadband, waterways, that will ever be passed in our lifetime. But I also know that that work will not be complete unless we pass a budget resolution that invests in every single one of our communities. And when I talk about that investment, paid family leave is an important component of that. And I will be supporting paid family leave in the United States House of Representatives. As part of that, one of the criticisms of the infrastructure bill that I and others had is that it did not reward the way that it should have an investment in clean infrastructure. And so we will be making sure that in the budget resolution reconciliation process that we are creating good, clean energy jobs and starting to lay the foundation for infrastructure for electric vehicles and many, many things across our nation. I promise you that that work will happen. And I have particular insight into that work. I'm on 3 of the 12 committees that are going to mark up the Build Back Better Act over the coming several weeks. You know, there's something else that is really important to me, and it's always been important. Many of you know I have 4 sons, Josh, Jacob, Jonas, and Isaac. We just took our youngest son off to college just over a week ago. And our son Jacob and his wife Sarah, they are going to be having their first child, and I am going to be having my first grandchild. And one of the things that Speaker Pelosi always says is know your why. Know your why. Because if you know your why, you can run in these hard districts. You can win in these hard districts. My why has always been for my children, because I want to make sure that they are left a better world behind when I leave. And now I have a new why, which is my grandson, who is set to be born here in early October. So to all you grandparents out there, I'm about to join the club. So thank you so much. Thank you. Let me tell you again about the Build Back Better Act. We just gave the largest tax cut to the middle class in American history in the American Rescue Plan in the child tax credit. How many of you here are or have family members who are benefiting from the child tax credit? We're going to make that permanent in the Build Back Better Act. We're going to make the premium tax credit in the individual market to reduce the cost of health care permanent in the Build Back Better Act. We are going to include the Dream and Promise Act in the Build Back Better Act. We are going to include the Farm Modernization Act in the Build Back Better Act. We are going to include all of these things in the Build Back Better Act because we know that with only a 3-seat majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, that we cannot wait. We have to act now. We may get all of these things through. We may get a portion of them through. But I'm telling you here and now that the work that I'm doing on the House Committee on Agriculture to promote conservation practices like this great representative just talked about, to make sure that we put a future in place where we reward carbon sequestration. It's not in the bill, but I am still a huge supporter of carbon fee and dividend in this country. I think we have got to put a price on carbon, that is another tool that needs to be in the toolbox. And at the end of the day, I believe that what we are about to do as a United States House of Representatives in a tough political environment with only a vote of 51 in the Senate is probably going to be the greatest accomplishment in our lifetimes. And honestly, I'm going to end where I started. The only reason that I'm standing here today, prepared to work through this reconciliation bill, prepared to support all of the things that I've said this morning, is because you did the hard work of organizing. Because you did the hard work of making Jason Lewis a one-term congressman. I am so honored to represent this district, and all of you know that I'm going to put up a fight to make sure that this seat stays within our values. So thank you so much.
Thank you to all those who shared your story today about the Build Back Better budget package and the difference it will make for you and the people you love. Thank you, Representative Lippert and Senator Lindsey Port, for championing a multiracial democracy, a caring economy, and a flourishing planet at the state capitol. And thank you, Congresswoman Criag, for your leadership on the budget reconciliation package and your commitment to lead in D.C. to build a congressional District 2 where all of us can thrive. Black, brown, and white, indigenous, immigrant, and fifth-generation Minnesotans. Minnesota District 2 is ready to fund our futures. Now, we know our elected officials have other engagements to get to today, so at this point, we are going to transition to the actions we here can take to move this budget forward, to tell our friends and neighbors about what's on the table and the way our elected officials are leading to make it happen. Thank you, Representative Criag, Senator Port, and Representative Lippert. You are free to go. And now I'm going to hand it off to Catherine Lasada, who will lead us in some social media action.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. One more round of applause for elected officials. All right, everyone else, stick with us because our democracy is about us and for us and with us, right? That means we do our part. Our elected officials just shared how they're leading, and we need to be with them. Our democracy is supposed to work for us, so we want to encourage people to just stick with us and do some strategic actions for the next 10 minutes. And then we know some people will have to head out, but others stay with us to do some lit dropping, phone banking, reaching out to our neighbors to encourage them what's going down, what's possible right now in this federal budget, and to give a call to their Congress people too, right? They're worthy of that invitation. They're worthy of knowing what's up, what's possible for us and our loved ones. Give your Congress people a call, right? So I have helpers handing out 3 materials right now. So everybody be on the lookout for helpers with 3 things. So first is our beautiful piece of literature. This is what we're going to be handing out to the doors to our neighbors in a little bit. And it says, here's what's going down, here's what's possible, give your Congress people a call. So we want to invite all of you to make those 3 calls to not only
Congressman Criag to be like, yes, awesome, keep going, keep leading boldly, here's what I care about and want you to keep leading on. And also to the 2 U.S. senators from Minnesota, Senator Tina Smith, Senator Amy Klobuchar, because again, all of this stuff we just heard about today is on the table, but it's not done yet. It's still up for negotiations. We want to be like, go get it done, get it across the finish line. That encouragement to keep leading with us, right? So action number 1 is call your 3 members of U.S. Congress. Action number 2, you're gonna get a social media guide. So you're gonna get 2 little white half sheets, 2 different ones. So we wanna encourage people. You could do a quick video. Hi, my name is, I'm from, here's what I care about. I urge Congress to go get this done in this federal budget. You could do a quick selfie. Here I am. I'm excited about X, Y, and Z, right? So you've got some instructions on your social media guide. You can even use these fancy QR codes. Hover your phone, your smartphone's camera over the QR code and a link will pop up and you can just share that post also. So there's some super easy ones right there. So action number 2 is a social media mission. Action 3 is a commitment form beyond today. So you should also look out for a pen to fill this out. And when you're all done, you can leave stuff by the front table or hand it back to an organizer. But your commitment form will invite you to get involved from today. So today, we're equipping people to call our neighbors in this district, and we want to keep doing that. We want to keep reaching out to our people, doing some door knocking and lid dropping, mask on, having an intentional conversation we'll train you for, and say call your Congress people. So today we're starting in Burnsville, and then we have dates coming up in Apple Valley, Northfield, and Red Wing. And then we'll have a set of canvases with our state legislative partners. So this kind of a door knock will be focusing on intentional conversations rooted in what we and our loved ones need to thrive. And so we'll be partnering with Senator Lindsey was here today. We'll land a date with her coming up. And then there'll be 3 across southern Minnesota on Saturday, October 9th. So sign up for the one closest to you or come join us even if you don't live in those communities. Mankato, St. Peter with Senator Friends, Northfield area with Representative Lippert, who is here today, and then Rochester area with Representative Liz Bolden. Those 3 will be focused on climate in particular, reaching out to our neighbors about what matters to us, the urgency around climate justice, and what we can do about it, calling on our elected officials to lead with us and for us. All right, so you've got your 3 missions. Let's take about 10 minutes to number 1, call your 3 members of Congress. Number 2, do a quick social media action, shaping the narrative. Here's what we and our loved ones need to thrive. I'm excited about X, Y, and Z, let's get it done. Demonstrating that people want and need this.